the two pictures on the wall, on one of the walls in the temple room, are of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Śrīla Prabhupāda. Not very big, but standard kind of size. But they just have such a mood that they're each watching us in the temple and thinking, oh, what they came to do, it is taking place. So we are serving them, the great masters. Yes, and where's Seva, Rupa, Devi, Rasi? Still in the Congo?
No, Dandavat Maharaj, I got back yesterday.
You got back yesterday. Okay, welcome home, safe and sound.
Thank you.
All right, and so we are 1 minute in. Everyone's very punctual. Everyone here is very punctual. We can give a tick mark, a credit mark for those here. We may not mention anything to, if anybody joins us later. They will never know. Oh, except it's recorded. Okay. Jai Srila Gurudev ki jai. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. And Jai Bhagavan Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Bhaga ki jai. And our present day Shri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Brinda ki jai. Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo.
Hari Hari Bo.
So Dandavat to one and all. And both Jivana Didi and Kumkum Didi, both of you in particular, last time I didn't give proper opportunity to speak. We had festivals or things, I do believe, taking place. And anyhow, I'd like you both to have something ready to share with us on the theme of back to basics. And I know that's not a difficulty for either of you. And you can keep that in mind. And in the meantime, I think it cannot have gone unnoticed, Śrīla Prabhupāda's disappearance day. And as we do focus on particular devotees, particular personalities, Vaishnava personalities, and the Lord himself on their particular days associated with them throughout the year, then this year we had a very Prabhupada-centered day here. And really, it was very beautiful. We watched a video in the morning, and we watched it in the temple room with the devotees together. And we watched a video in the evening as our reading part of the evening. Instead of the reading, we watched another video of Śrīla Prabhupāda. And a big reminder of the family of Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, and Śrīla Prabhupāda. And Śrīla Prabhupāda was giving his talk because he's sitting in a place where he's, on the Vyasasan and talking, and such a high Vyasasan. Even we are thinking, how did he get up onto this Vyasasan? And really, the devotees made this kind of a grand, but it's simple but beautiful, but tall Vyasasan. And they obviously put a lot of love into it. And so Śrīla Prabhupada is kind of sitting there very exalted position, beautiful, but he's in a lecture, obviously him, and he's giving a lecture to the devotees. And then Śrīla Prabhupada said some things and turned his face, and such a beautiful smile came across. And that we just, oh, look at that. This is Gurudev and Guru Maharaj's family, this sweet, sweet smile, sweet nature. And then the later part of the video, of the morning video, was showing Śrīla Prabhupada doing different things, like arriving, being garlanded, seated informally, distributing prasadam, sweets, I think it was, to the children, and very sweet video footage. And this reminds me about devotees who we have met, who've talked about Śrīla Prabhupada, who were with him. And Pushta Krishna immediately comes to mind. We've had some beautiful talks about Śrīla Prabhupada and how they paint, if you like, a picture of Śrīla Prabhupada quite, quite different than the formal lecturing Śrīla Prabhupada. Mm-hmm. And in general, his nature was so sweet and charming to everybody. All right, and on Facebook, we've also been joined by devotees, Paunamasi Devi Dasi and Madhava Prabhu. And I know always there are some, because I can't see them all on Facebook, but to all the devotees who've joined us, yes, welcome. And to all on Zoom and Facebook and who will see us presently, our obeisances together as we've come together. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, who would like to go first? Put up a hand. Jivana or Kumkum? Okay, who would like to go last? Put up a hand. The first hand up. Okay, Kumkum Devidasi's microphone is off. So, is on. Sorry, she's turned the microphone on. So we'll take this as a sign. Hare Krishna.
I have been so fortunate hearing from everyone, all the devotees like yourself speaking about Śrīla Prabhupāda. And this is so beautiful and remarkable. And one thing that can't be said enough is how he blessed us with his translations nonstop. He was always translating. And some of our books, in the beginning, there was a summary of Chaitanya Charitamrita that he called Teachings of Lord Chaitanya. It was not nearly as concise as Premadama Devam Eva prayer, but it was still life-giving and helped us to get to know. And then, of course, Nectar of Devotion, and so many books like that. And of course, Krishna book. And he just provided those right away so that we would have some nourishment. And so many of us were coming from being students of some kind. And so this allowed us to dive in and be students of Krishna consciousness in a different way when we were separated from him. And one of the most remarkable, every time you saw him, you would wait while he was finishing a particular paragraph or whatever. If you got to go for his darshan, they would say, he's just now wrapping up. And it would be just to get to the end of a sentence or something. It would be a few moments of waiting, but he filled every single spare second with translating. And of course, we know that later he provided all the Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then so many other books. And actually, one of the very final things that the last few months, his final words were still translating. And there's no diminution in the quality of his translations, even though he was so extremely near death. He was very ill physically, but his mind was always the same as ever. That was one of his most determined contributions, and he did this unfailingly until practically his last breath. He was still translating. And this was always in addition to counseling whatever devotees were around him, instructing, answering so many letters. And even though he had many, many servitors, it was still superhuman what we saw that he was doing. So now that we get to hear from Srila Guru Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj and all of the people who are very strongly knowing him by their sincerity, it's revealed within their hearts. And so we get to continue to hear about his glories and try to get a bit of a glimpse into his transcendental nature. Then it's not so surprising that we and the entire world feel so much shelter. Actually, what he gave reminds me of when you see a doctor and you don't know what the problem is, and it might even seem very scary. And if you hear about it for yourself, you find out some people have died from this. So it can be quite disturbing. But then with a perfect doctor and getting a perfect diagnosis, then all of your fears are dispelled and you find out exactly what you should do. And you could go back to that doctor with any questions that you have. And so this, it reminds me of what it was like to finally get a guru in the middle of the darkness, the difficulties. You don't even have to understand everything, but your confidence that they know and they will give me exactly the instructions that I need. And, you know, my spiritual health will become good and my suffering is immediately lessened because I'm no longer fearful. And other people it looks like they're dying. They're not actually dying, just the body is changing. And so everything is all put together by the grace of a bona fide guru. So this is how we're thinking of Śrīla Prabhupāda and everyone in his line.
Too much beautiful, as Gurudev would say. And that's also a wonderful point. We rarely hear it. We rarely hear it about his translation, how it didn't just happen automatically. He didn't load it into a computer and something came out the other side. A continuous process. And in the beginning, he's using a regular typewriter when he was in the Bauri, isn't it? When we read the Lilamrita, he was using a clonk, 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 clonk typewriter. And then he had his typewriter stolen one time. And that's when they decided, they should move to somewhere a little better. Yeah. His typewriter was taken. And then you started to use the dictaphone.
Maharaj, can I add something?
Definitely.
I just recently saw maybe Krishna Kanta Didi or somebody posted the picture of that typewriter, and the brand was Corona, and they commented like, that's what like inundated all the world, not like what's happening now. It was so funny.
Very beautiful. And Gurudev had a car called the Corolla. Okay, but almost like that. His car was a Toyota Corolla, almost Corona. But then we call this a coronavirus. And what was its first name? I forget, but both names had some very close Sanskrit thing. Coronavirus, the merciful. The virus of mercy is what Śrīla Prabhupāda gave to the world, Karuna virus. And then what's it called after Karuna?
COVID.
Huh? Oh, COVID. And COVID means something in Sanskrit. We looked it up and it was like quite a good word in Sanskrit. All things, if we can see with another vision, then we can say, oh, very good, this is reminding us. And also, okay, just now Kumkum Didi is saying, but if we have a serious disease and going to go to the doctor, we're going to die from it. Then we're going to the doctor. But actually, we've all come to our guardians, Śrīla Prabhupāda, Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, and our guardian section, because we do have a serious disease and we are going to die from it. This human body, this identification with matter, really. And Śrīla Prabhupāda actually pointed that out to us. And how Śrīla Prabhupāda would point out that they think they are suffering, they think they are enjoying, but they are only suffering. But also Śrīla Prabhupāda pointed out to us that we have a disease. That disease is that we've got this misidentification, and so we are caught in birth and death. We're going to die. We have this disease. So without going to a doctor to get a checkup to find out about how we are not really enjoying and how really we are going to die, then by coming and getting a checkup, and then after the diagnosis to get the medicine. and then to have the healthy place available. We don't have to live always in a hospital or in a transit camp. The free persons will live somewhere. And Śrīla Prabhupāda has given that to the world. Beautiful Kumkum Devi Dasi, appreciate. And Jivana Devi Dasi, please join us. And Leela Shakti Didi, these two devotees, Kumkum Didi and Jivana, they both knew Śrīla Prabhupāda. They look like teenagers, but they are disciples of Śrīla Prabhupāda and had his association and have served him and his mission, and then Guru Maharaj and Gurudev for many years. And so it's wonderful for us to have the opportunity to hear from them. Jivana, now we've put you on the spot, made you very nervous. Please share something with us.
Oh, we were so good. So I'm so grateful to Kumkum Devi for speaking first. She's so articulate and always has beautiful things to say and can say them in such a lovely way. And she was given so much nectar about Śrīla Prabhupada that I've heard from other classes as well. So I'm very grateful for that. And I just want to say ditto, which kind of covers me. I could just end right there. But I know that we just heard so many beautiful things this past week. I mean, about Śrīla Prabhupada and through Govardhan Puja, through Kartik. So it's actually quite overwhelming. And I can't remember who gave this example. It's like if you go to the ocean and you have a little, thimble, and that's as much as you can gather from the ocean. And all you just kind of overwhelmed. There's just not so much you can someone like me can digest because still so full of so many other things. But hearing from all the devotees, I'm just thinking how much opulence and beauty and support and help our gurus have given us through their disciples and through those who are carrying on, and how people can remember so many things and express so many beautiful conceptions from Śrīla Prabhupada, from Śrīla Guru Maharaj, from Śrīla Govinda Maharaj. It's just amazing. It's like sometimes it's like walking through the Chaitanya Charitamrita in our own time frame. So I was reading this one verse of Śrīla Gurudev, who said that when a pure devotee departs, that actually says the disappearance and appearance of the pure devotee, it's like the sun, it's like the rising and the setting of the sun. Both are good for the disciple. And when he departs, he spreads his mercy everywhere. And if you can remember him, you will gather all that mercy. Well, that's just kind of how I've been feeling this past week and a half or so, where we've been having these amazing festivals and talks, just amazing, just amazing. And my experience with Śrīla Prabhupada in particular mostly was because we did a lot of traveling Sankirtan distributing his books. And as Kumkum pointed out, he would be constantly translating, and then they would be constantly printing the books. And every time new books would come out, we would be reading it in the van as we were traveling. So that just gave us so much support and nectar for us. Of course, now, can I remember anything? Every now and then something comes to me, but oh my goodness, I'm so grateful to all of you for remembering so many things and being so merciful and kind to all of us so that we can all benefit and remember these things. More or less, when I was with Prabhupada, the main thing is when we came to, when Prabhupada departed and we finally came to Guru Maharaj in the early 80s, I couldn't believe how much Guru Maharaj could understand about Prabhupada. And I thought, I never really knew Śrīla Prabhupada. I mean, compared to what he can say. And I was thinking it's like Kumkum's example of being, being a doctor. My example is like, I was under complete anesthesia. I was out. But the doctor's still working the whole time. And when I started to wake up, when we kind of came to Guru Maharaj at that time, I started to wake up and realize, oh my gosh, how much we've been given and how much there is to keep on going with. So really, all of you, I'm just really grateful and seriously indebted to all of you very much.
Jai Jivana Devi Rasi Ki Jai. And I have to remember, I mean, instantly also remember when we're calling you up and about, I mean, asking you to say something, we're thinking about Shripad Yudamanyu Prabhu Seva Vikram, Jivana Devi Rasi's husband. And his history is, well, actually Jivana should say, but he was closely connected with Śrīla Prabhupāda and the distribution of books. And maybe you can say something through, as a representative of Yudamanyu Prabhu, some things he shared with you. Because actually I'd like to call you Yudamanyu Prabhu to come and say a few words. But he passed away a few days ago. So he's gone through the next door as a devotee. I mean, his whole life he gave for devotion. And he had association with Śrīla Prabhupāda, served Śrīla Prabhupāda, and as Jivana, Śrīla Guru Maharaj and Śrīla Gurudev too. Something you like to say from that you...
Yeah, I just was lucky that I got to kind of pitter-patter behind him, because he was a great champion and servitor. In Śrīla Prabhupāda's time, there was nothing he wanted to do except for distribute books. He just latched onto that service right away and just did so much in the temples here, and then also he did overseas. And even when we were in South Africa, we were starting to come to Guru Maharaj at that time, and he had a contest with another devotee there. If you know Yudamanyu, you know he would love a competition and he would have to win it. And he became like the biggest book distributor at that time in South Africa. And so that was really nice. But you're right, Maharaj, he was very involved and in all the book distribution activities and the Sankirtan activities. That was really his, and then he would always make sure on our traveling parties that we always had a morning program and an evening program, and then in the middle we would do, I think Kumkum had referenced this one time also, the ISKCON sandwich. You have a program in the morning and you have service during the day, and then you have a program in the evening. So it's like that, and we would always do that as we were traveling along, and getting these new books all the time was so exciting. I'm very inadequate and certainly unworthy, but I just tried to like keep somehow trailing behind everybody. And for that, I've been very fortunate.
Jai. And we still need a morning program and an evening program as we are traveling along. We may not be traveling along in the traveling Sankirtan bus as such, but traveling along every day.
Everywhere, yes.
And Seva Rupa Didi in Mexico, Dandavat and welcome. Our family coming together here happily. And Dandavat Seva Rupa Didi.
Dandavat, Madhusudan Maharaj, Dandavat, all sweet devotees, my respectful obeisances to all of you.
Jai. Reciprocated, we can see in the face of the devotees. And Udaran Prabhu is with us from Latvia, but he's hiding from us, but he's with us. So happily, oh, he's showing his form too. Udaran Prabhu, Dandavat, Dandavat. Yes. So, from the next generation of Śrīla Prabhupāda. I didn't really mean this to be fully Śrīla Prabhupāda, back to basics, but it's good because we didn't have a back to basics that day, and we would have been talking about Śrīla Prabhupāda. And Śrīla Prabhupāda, not only our basis, but he's given the world Krishna consciousness, and we 200% must give our head and heart to Śrīla Prabhupāda, to Śrīla Guru Maharaj, to Śrīla Gurudev, as we know. But Paramananda, who is the next generation, and Pranashriti, please remind me. I keep on forgetting your original hereditary. Are you Śrīla Prabhupāda's disciple at the beginning? Because you did join in that time.
No. The first time I went to India was in 1984, and I loved the temple. It was wonderful. And I returned in 1985, and at that moment it was the ceremony for the sannyas of Srila Gurudev. At that moment, inside my heart, I said, "This is my Gurudev," but I had to wait a long time.
Right, so,
but no, I'm not a disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada.
Okay, I mean, we all are in one sense, of course, but I did, as you know, I did mean, as you were pointing out, in the actual, the formal initiation part. So, yes. So we have the next generation. I can, if, with your permission, I'll ask Paramananda Prabhu, because I was thinking about the book distribution of Yudamanyu Prabhu and so many things. And Paramananda Prabhu was the biggest, or one of the 3 top distributors of books in Russia, which means thousands of books a week sometimes. So Paramananda Prabhu, next generation. But we are, as you wish, you may say, but we are a little Śrīla Prabhupada centered, happily, today, continuing our ever remembrance of his grace.
Maharaj, first I wish to say that I'm nothing big, but the biggest fool. That I can accept. I'm certainly not even first 3, I'm the first one. Always the winner there. But yeah, I mean, Prabhupada, it's always wonderful to hear about Prabhupada, because really, like we pointed out that day, that nothing will be possible without Prabhupada. Really, no Guru Maharaj, no Saraswati Thakur, no nothing, no 6 Goswamis, no Krishnadas Maharaj, no Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no Radha Krishna, not even a samosa, sweet rice, simply wonderful, chapatis, puris, sabjis, and all other wonderful things that were so much relishing in the form of Mahaprasad. And speaking of ISKCON sandwich, till this day we're eating that sandwich happily, including so much of Mahaprasad from Swami Maharaj that is left in the form of his teachings, and also in the form of his followers, his disciples that keep guiding us. But the generation of Prabhupada, the next generation, the next generation, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's wonderful to serve, being able to see and be with Prabhupada and serve him personally, witness his pastimes. But I remember we joined at a different time. Prabhupada wasn't there. Well, his followers, his disciples were there, and to their credit, they always emphasized the importance of his position. So they always deferred to him when they were taking disciples. Some adjustment happened by then. So in our hearts, Prabhupada was everything. Whatever we did for Prabhupada. If we wanted to hear a talk, we would hear a talk of Prabhupada. If we wanted to hear a song, we will hear a song by Prabhupada. All the books we're reading and the commentaries by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. So he was all in all. Even though we're not direct disciples, I consider myself to be his eternal follower and a disciple. And he was the source of our endless inspiration. And remembering Kumkum Dasi, and I always remember that pastime. Anything connected to book translation was very dear to us. So we heard so many different things from Prabhupada disciples, also something that was written in the memoirs of his servitors. We hear that book, about the book Prabhupada Lilamrita by Satsvarup Goswami, Hari Shavar did the diary, and so many others. They shared their experiences with Prabhupada. Every single Leela connected to that was very dear and eternally inspiring. And like Kumkum Dasi mentioned, the most inspiring part for me was always that Prabhupada on his deathbed, he is leaving the world, but he is trying to conclude Srimad Bhagavatam translation. How inconceivable is that? Like, you're in so much, I mean, physical difficulty, but like it was pointed out, his mind was always in Galoka, like Mahaprabhu says. My mind is always there. My senses, my body can be anywhere else, which is usually the case. Your mind and your body and your senses are all together, but my mind is always in Vrindavan. So that's Mahaprabhu's expression. So Prabhupada was like that. He was always in Vrindavan, wherever he was. That famous letter that he sends to Srila Govinda Maharaj, asking him to consult with Srila Guru Maharaj about his situation when he is thinking he is going to leave the world, and asking opinion or advice from Guru Maharaj. What should he do? Maybe he should return to Vrindavan and leave the world over there. But Guru Maharaj sweetly and really, and also it's a very deep statement answering it. Wherever you are, there is a Vrindavan. So this is your Prabhu Datta Desh. This is the service that came to you. While you're doing the service, wherever you are, you will be in Galoka Vrindavan, very near to your Guru Maharaj, the lotus feet of Srila Saraswati Thakur. And automatically, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, they're inseparable. Like Madhusudan Maharaj pointed out. Also, reminded me about Bhishma. We all heard about Bhishma story. While he is lying on the field of Kurukshetra, pierced with thousands of arrows. Think about it. If you're pierced with a single arrow, you will be in so much pain. Bhishma is pierced with thousands. What is he doing? And he is laying on those arrows because he is unable to lay down. They pierce his body. So he is laying on a bed of arrows. And with his last words, his last breath, he is glorifying the gopis, the residents of Vrindavan. This is exactly what Prabhupada was doing with his last breath, translating the final chapters of Srimad Bhagavatam. And we know what the chapters are about. So that is absolutely inconceivable and wonderful, and giving us everything since the beginning till the end forever, infinitely. And that also reminded when Srila Guru Maharaj he is telling that story, Gurudev is telling that story, when he is about to start Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math, he is on the bank of the Ganges, and he sees a page of something floating. So he picks the page. It happened to be the page from Chaitanya Charitamrita. How is that possible? And what is on the page? What kind of verse is there? It's Sadhu Sangha, Nama Kirtan, Bhagavat Shravan, Mathura Vasa Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Seva. The very instructions of Mahaprabhu. And at that time, he is contemplating, he is getting inspiration from Sri Nityananda to give shelter. And he takes it literally. This is what is necessary. This is what I should extend to others. This is what precious to me. Sadhu Sangha, the association with the sadhus, Nam Kirtan, the chanting of the holy name, Bhagavat Shravan, and again comes to mind a verse that Prabhupada mentioned thousands of times, and Jivana and Kumkum and others who listen to Prabhupada will recognize. Nashta Prayeshva Padrishu Nitya Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shlake Bhaktir Bhagavati Naishtiki. It's just by hearing the Bhagavat, Vaishnava Bhagavat, reciting the Bhagavata scripture, the faith in Krishna's lotus feet will be established in your heart irreversibly. He quotes this again and again and again. So Bhagavat Shravan, the possibility of hearing that scripture from a Bhagavat Vaishnava. So Guru Maharaj getting that message. Mathura Vasa, you must establish a place of Mathura that is not different from Mathura, the holy place. And again, we're here, wherever Vaishnava is, wherever there are glorification of the holy name, chanting of the holy name, recitation of the Shastras dedicated to the Lord, that is the holy place. And Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sivan, and give the possibility to others to serve the lotus feet of Sri Murti. So that verse Guru Maharaj picks up from the Ganges. Well, he is contemplating what is his next stop. He already got inspiration from Nityananda, what to do next. That comes. And again, it's very much related to Prabhupada. This is what he extended to the rest of the world. The same message of Mahaprabhu. And he gave us everything that is in that verse. I will conclude here, Maharaj.
Jai Shri A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Kumkum Didi was clapping, we saw. Right, if we're in the temple room, then the devotees in Bengal, they'll be going, Jai Ho! Which is a very Bengali way of giving a hear, hear, as the British would do. British would do. Huh?
Ek Bindu, Jagad Dubai.
One drop can inundate the whole universe. Hare Krishna. And well, from the next generation, who shall we ask to speak something? We should ask Priyanana Devi Dasi. She is serving full time. She's in the next generation from Śrīla Prabhupāda, and she has much association and seva. So we've taken her off guard completely. Would you like to prepare for a minute, or would you like to share something? You are hearing so many things and engaged in seva. If you are happy to share something, please do so.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. I can share a bit. And talking about Śrīla Prabhupāda, actually, I also joined through ISKCON because I was finishing my graduating from a university, and in Tomsk, the very same city where Suvada's temple is. First, I joined through ISKCON temple, and I was making sweet bowls there in a brahmachari ashram. So it was the 1 month I spent with the guys, helping them and so on, and like planting potatoes sometimes. And then after 1 month, I had to leave. But you know, later I analyzed like what was so attractive, and it was about the people. So, and that sense of happiness that they gave, like this kind of association, later I was looking for it. And that's how I came to our mat in Thailand. No, because I didn't know any difference, like ISKCON, not ISKCON. I just was looking for this Krishna connection again. But I'm still very grateful to them that they gave, you know, this feeling of being with the devotees. And yes, and actually it was funny, like my mom, some time ago, she bought a book, this The Science of Self-Realization in Russian, because in my home city, which is even smaller than Tomsk, some people were distributing near the post office. So she thought, oh, okay, my daughter is in Krishna consciousness, so maybe I give them some donation, give some book. And it was funny, like Krishna is on the cover and so on. So actually, yes, Śrīla Prabhupāda is everywhere. And as Goswami Maharaj said during the last talk, he like kind of emphasized, like, no one would be here without Śrīla Prabhupāda. So that's true. I'm signing also, because I started with Śrīla Prabhupāda by his grace too. That's it.
Jai. And did your mother become a devotee after getting signs of self-realization?
Not yet. Still in the process of getting there. Hopefully, by your grace.
Well, most of you know that's the book that changed my whole view of life and gave me some hope and understanding that there is somebody in the world who knows and isn't just in the land of speculation. That came through so strongly early in the reading of Śrīla Prabhupāda's book. Very good. And that book was Science of Self-Realization. Yes, his books, you see, are being distributed until today, and naturally.
And Maharaj, on the subject of Prabhupada books, we always heard his famous statement, if you want to satisfy me, distribute my books. But he also made a statement, because in the beginning we started distributing books, but we forgot that we also have to read those books. So there's another statement of Prabhupada. He also is saying that we have to read his books. And really, you're saying that there are book distributors who are quite successful in their seva. But from my own experience, I can only say that the books have this tendency, this very transcendental divine nature, that they would distribute themselves. So you'd be just a person to carry them from a shipping container into your storage, and then you pick them up and you just give them away. And the only thing you have to remember, and I always thought about it, you shouldn't be an obstacle. Let them distribute themselves. Just don't be an obstacle. Don't scare off the people. Pass them the books. And it was all happening. So when you had that kind of a humble mood, that you're not a doer, but you're a servant, you're just carrying, passing them on, the message of Prabhupada, the message of Mahaprabhu, the books will just fly away. It was actually very mysterious and very divine experience. And then, of course, we, the book distributors, we will get so much inspiration from that. And the more difficult, I also noticed, the more difficult were the places to go, the more difficult were the people to approach, the more successful it was by the grace of Nityananda, because we have to remember, he is the Nityananda Shakti-Avesh, concluded by Srila Guru Maharaj, really. So what is Nityananda doing? We're Mahaprabhu, and he is the Mahavadanyaya avatar, the most merciful. Mahaprabhu is not going there where Nityananda is searching for to go. So those places were the most successful places, like deep underground in coal mines of polar circle, Siberian factories, gold mining places. So we call them a God-forgotten places. Really, they were God-forgotten places. A place where you can have a summer for 2 weeks, a day for a month, the rest is a polar night. Those kind of places. So you can imagine people are not smiling too much in those places, but these are the places of the biggest success, including that town that Priyanana is from, at one of our biggest distribution places. Well, maybe not that godforsaken, but quite far away. She's from Abakan. Just Google it. But yes, that was one of the places that so much books were distributed, literally hundreds of thousands of books. And we always remember that. So our solace was, it's satisfying Prabhupada, so we should give our best to that. We didn't think about anything else. And really, this is how it should be approached. When you become a disciple, you have to come to your spiritual master and ask him, what will satisfy you the most? What kind of service I should do? Don't try to think it, make it up. Ask him, what will satisfy you the most? And we were so happy to know what we are doing, satisfying him the most. But that included the temple seva, prasad, cooking seva, everything necessary, because that was meant to support the whole movement, the whole process of book distribution, the missionary activities, everything, the Harinam, that was a package. We never separated it from one another.
Jai. Yes, Priyanana Devi.
I just wanted to add that, I don't know, someone quoted that these books, they're like, if you get one and then even put it on the shelf, it spreads spiritual radiation. I think Paramananda said this, Paramananda Prabhu. And he himself is an example. I think you shared with us that once when you visited your friend, you like picked up a book from a shelf and it was some Prabhupada books. So really, it can be not even meant for you, but like somebody else can pick it up from your shelf, and the spiritual radiation is kind of working too.
Absolutely agreed, Maharaj. It did happen to me. It did happen to you. It did happen to many others.
I heard some example, whether it was Śrīla Prabhupāda or not, was saying that these books are time bombs. They can explode sometime in the future. And it did happen to me, yes. The book I had was not meant for me. Well, maybe it was meant for me, but it was just on a bookshelf. Just on a bookshelf. Yes, Praneshwari Devi Dasi, please. You know I was going to ask you, so you've got some treasures for us too in this line. Humbly asking.
Maharaj, you know I have nothing substantial to say, but please check the chat because there's something that captured my heart. This is Janavi Devi Dasi from ISKCON. And she wrote on that day this, and it's so, so sweet.
So please read it for us, Pranashri.
I owe everything to this magnificent soul, whose compassion is oceanic, whose smile reveals the rarest depth, who rose in love and loved everyone in the truest way. The Tirobab of a saint, the day of their passing from this mortal realm, is mourned yet celebrated at the same time. The sunrise and sunset are equally beautiful, and in between them both, the sun continues to shine. It's just a question of when it is visible to our eyes. Thank you, beloved Śrīla Prabhupāda, for your writing, teaching, speaking, singing, and your everyday actions, for the light that continues to shine into my heart every day. That touched my heart. It was so very beautiful, Maharaj.
Indeed. And
it overflows in the heart of everyone who reads and listens, Maharaj. And obviously, we need to accept humbly that everything came through him. He gave us Srila Guru Maharaj. He gave us Navadip. He gave us.
Someone's fighting with the keys, with the keyboard here.
He's trying to give me a spotlight and I don't accept it and I remove it. Maharaj, everything is absolutely perfect. We are indeed blessed because he gave us this opportunity to learn about a spiritual life. And we just have to be so humble and to continue serving the Vaishnavas. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda and Śrīla Gurudev and Śrīla Guru Maharaj and our Guru Varga.
Jai. Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda ki Jai. Many thanks. And actually, every one of you has something to contribute. And actually, there's another sign, because I was just about to ask Seva Rupa from Mexico. Please, a few words from you. You have your long devotional life and you have much family experience, and you can share something with us, Seva Rupa. And she's also a fluent, I was going to say Mexican speaker, but of course, Spanish speaker from Mexico, but her English is perfect. So, Seva Rupa, please.
Well, my dandavats to all of you again. And I was very little when Krishna consciousness arrived to our lives. It arrives through a book that my grandma just bought on a bus, just one devotee that was just distributing and selling books. And she bought it because the devotee said there were some vegetarian recipes. And my grandmother was just really interested in that. So she bought that book and just took it back to home. And she started to reading, and suddenly she noticed that was not one vegetarian recipe at all. So just she put it on the table, and when my dad arrived to home back from work, she just took it because it took their attention, and that was the connection that we made through that book and in Krishna consciousness. So I was too little when I arrived to this beautiful way of life. And I just remember attending to the temple every Sunday program at ISKCON in Mexico. And I was very happy being in the kirtans and listened and seeing. And I mean, I was so little, but I really enjoy it. I still remember that with so joyful, and I really loved all that childhood I have in Krishna consciousness. Thank you to, Krishna just made the way. No, just it's amazing because we are just so not worthless, no, of getting this Krishna consciousness, and it is here, and I have to make it work it really in this life. As Paramananda I always remember he's saying that, and also you, Maharaj, that that is just knocking at the door at every moment. So there is no other way to keep our consciousness just busy in Krishna consciousness in any way that it comes to us. So this time I really appreciate it. This is my very special connection in this day, during Wednesday or Saturdays when it's available, but I listen them late if I cannot be on live with you. But that is my nourishment, that all of your words and your love and your caring, they are nourish me day by day. I really appreciate by that. And I see through all of you, all Śrīla Prabhupāda preaching and teaching, loving and caring in each of you. I really appreciate it. And I offer you again my respectful dandavats to you and asking for your blessings. Dandavats to all of you.
Krishna, Jai Śrīla Guru Maharaj, Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda, and Jai Śrīla Gurudev. And now you are living near the LA temple, correct?
No, Maharaj. It's Krishnavani, who's lived just in front of
Krishnavani is there, yes.
Yeah. I am Mexico City, so and kind of far away of the ISKCON temple.
Okay, yes. All right, beautiful. And a wonderful perspective to see everything. And from a child, being a young child, and an interesting story how the naughty devotees didn't tell the perfect truth. They told a little white lie to encourage that the book goes out, saying that there are vegetarian recipes here. But maybe your grandma read the whole book looking for the vegetarian recipe.
Yes, of course. Maybe it doesn't get so much attention in that spiritual realm, but later, even that she was not so into the Krishna consciousness because it was a quite great change for her with his life, with her spiritual life. But at the end, she was initiated by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj.
Jai,
so we are really, very appreciated of all that, so much mercy.
Hare Krishna.
In that connection, I remembered one pastime. You might have been there actually in Govardhan when Srila Gurudev was there, and it was the approaching of Janmashtami, I think. And Gurudev had a newspaper. He was reading a newspaper, and then there's a big announcement that it's going to be a Janmashtami, and there's a big picture of Krishna stealing butter and feeding into the monkeys and making all sorts of mess in that room. So then Gurudev turns it around and says, if he is like that, then what to speak of us? So in a way, Krishna is also described as a thief. And we're so fortunate that he is a thief. And not just that, he makes all of his devotees a culprits in that. So they are his thieving associates. But what is he stealing besides butter? He is stealing the hearts, the sincere hearts of those who are hankering to go and join him. So that kind of luck, that kind of fortune we have. So he steals the hearts, and devotees help him to steal the hearts. So it is also mentioned. Ahaituki, it's causeless, can come anytime, doesn't have to be a particular reason for that. And ahaituki apratihata, unstoppable. You cannot check that flow. Once he decides to enter somebody's heart, it's uncheckable. So after hearing that story of Seva Rupa Didi, really, how else you can describe something like that? He decides to enter that family. That's it. You better accept him. Give him your hearts voluntarily, otherwise he will take it by force. And there is our good fortune, that even though we're hesitating to give it ourselves, he will take it.
Haribo. And I was just wondering, what kind of a conscience Paramananda Prabhu has about what he would tell people to get them to buy books so successfully. But I've heard from him that when they, well, you can say directly, but when you decided with the group that you were with, you just tell directly and straight, what is this book? Then everything became successful. When you try to sell it, distribute the books with some ulterior, or saying it's what it isn't, but trying to get people to take them, then you were not so successful. Maybe you can mention that.
We also said about something about vegetarian recipes. I have to confess, that wasn't a unique choice of catching attention of a person. We also say it's a sci-fi. I mean, think about it. Easy journey to other planets. Here you go, a fantasy book. Krishna was a fantasy book, and so many things were said. But really, we suffer internally. We thought we're not telling them the truth. And also, some people, they're really getting disappointed and angry. Sometimes they throw the books. And one time I assembled all the devotees. I was a Sankirtan leader then. I said, let's just do this one thing as an experiment. If our quantity will go down, I mean, the quantity of distributed books will go down, then we will think about something else. But let's just try, all of you, to start our approach by saying, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and all of you are his children. So we decided to do that. And everybody was, oh my God, nobody is going to buy any books. That's it. The whole Sankirtan movement in Russia will be crushed just by that. And I said, let's just give it a shot for a month. And it was just before Prabhupada Marathon. Everybody was so scared. It's an important time. We're all competing. We want to sell as many books as possible. I said, then here's another thing. I mean, that's another good reason. So we have to try to surrender. We have to try to acquire that faith. All of us here, because of that, because we believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. So this is how we started. And to our amazement, it was just take people from their mental platform. When you make a statement like that with full faith, what left for them to think about? About Christ, Krishna, what it's all about. They're gone. Then you have this free entrance, the door is open. Then you tell them about Krishna. So that was a great success. So from that moment, it was in 92, our preaching, at least in St. Petersburg Temple, was based on that. Krishna, Mahaprabhu, mostly Krishna, I have to confess, a little Mahaprabhu, but Krishna was the main personality we spoke about.
Jai. And Radha Sundari Devi Dasi is in Mayapur. She's where Śrīla Prabhupāda's Pushpa Samadhi is, which is very big Pushpa Samadhi. Any devotional news report from Mayapur, Radha Sundari Devi, from Śrīla Prabhupāda's disappearance festival, anything you'd like to share?
Dandavad, dear devotees, Dandavad.
Dandavad.
I
Not
think
exactly Radha Sundari looking person there.
We're having some morning breakfast, and everybody's afraid, so they give camera to me. And
my mom is very shy, so she ran away.
yes, Iravati even ran away. Anyway, we're having some very good company here of Iravati, and she's a very good devotee. She grew up in Bengal, and she's telling us so many stories about her life here. And she brought her deities, which she was worshipping for like 20 or 30 years. So she's doing program now with the deities and cooking very nice prasadam and sharing stories and many things happening. Shall I say something about Śrīla Prabhupāda or what?
Well, you're there in Mayapur, and so we were thinking perhaps you have a little news report of the festival there.
Yes, there was a very nice festival here, and yes, Pushpa Samadhi, and Anyway, sweet festival that all devotees here, Prabhupada's devotees here, they all very much respected. They all carrying some stories, getting together, and always some amazing stories. And sometimes they even invite me to translate, so I get a lot of association also translating for the Russian devotees here some stories. Now Iravati have some inspiration to say something, so I'll give them.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat.
Dandavat to every devotee. My English is not so good, but I will try to say something. I remember when I was in Vrindavan for a long time ago, every year's devotees evening time near Prabhupada, Śrīla Prabhupāda bed, when he was
where he disappeared.
Yeah, where he disappeared. Very nice decoration, very big garlands, and every evening, this time when Prabhupada disappeared, all Prabhupada disciples staying around. Still now, they staying around this bed and chanting Samsara Davana Lalitha Loka. So, and all night, they have memories about Prabhupada. So this is a very, very special day for all. And every time, I'm not Prabhupada disciple, but every years in this day, something in heart, some painful coming. I don't know. So
some connection is there.
Yeah, some connection. I don't know connection of what, but it's really. And now we are in Mayapur. I came just 2 weeks or how long ago, and here is everybody's everywhere is Prabhupada voice.
Yes.
Chanting. There is Hare Krishna chanting. There is so. Like all this special world in Mayapur side. When we are going to Navadvip, there is Gurudev side. But when we are coming to Mayapur, this is Prabhupada side. So I just came and cannot say my English is not so good. So I just my feeling. I share my feeling just. Hare Krishna.
Bolchoy Spashibo. Thank you very much, Iravati Didi. Very beautiful. Hare Krishna.
We have Prabhupada also here.
Jai Śrīla Prabhupāda, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, dear devotees, and who joined us presently? Narayani Nadia. Narayani Devi Dasi joined us, and Chintamani and Jayadev who joined us very quietly, but we're very happy to have you with us all. And here we are, we're in the world of Krishna consciousness by the grace of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and certainly I'm happy to come together with you all and during these back to basics, and keeping our feet on the ground and our heart and head in the service to our upper guardians, and then let us go on happily in our Krishna consciousness. They have sacrificed so much for us, so it's not even a question of owing it to them, but we take seriously our devotional life, and with such pillars, such wonderful examples as well. And then let us continue happily, knowing we're doing the right thing. Let the dogs bark, but the elephant will keep walking down the street without worrying. So let us be, in one sense, elephants on the journey home, back to Godhead. Jai Śrīla A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai, and Jai Śrīla Gurudev Śrīla Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, and Jai Śrīla Guru Maharaj Śrīla Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, and Jai Shri Rupa Nuga Guru Vaga ki Jai. All the present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Acharya Vrinda ki Jai. All the assembled devotees ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you all for being here. And may your days be devotional, dedicated days until we meet again. Dandavat. Jai Guru Maharaj.
Praneshwari Didi has something to say, Maharaj.
Oh, does she? I'm sure she has.
Maharaj,
Praneshwari Didi, yes.
just 30 seconds.
Please.
Seva Rupa Didi from South Africa. She was raised Śrīla Prabhupāda's conscious because her mom has been a disciple for all her life. So she can say 30 seconds of beauty from her heart. But she's shy.
Please, yes.
And but thanks, Praneshwari Devi. So my mom, yes, she's a disciple of, well, her guru is a direct disciple of Śrīla Prabhupāda, and I think through my mom's grace, she also spread Krishna consciousness to her mom and her sisters and her daughter. So yes, I think the only thing that
they had problems with electricity, so it arrived, but now their connection has frozen.
All right, so let this be a trailer for our next program. And actually, you see, each of every devotee here, excuse me, has a connection in some way with Śrīla Prabhupada. And also, I mean, look at our fortunate devotees who've grown up in Krishna consciousness. Also, Ekadashi and Narayani, who we mentioned just now, they've grown up in Krishna consciousness also. So that's wonderful. So
Radha Sundari.
And Radha Sundari, yes, and Brajabasi also, Radha Sundari. So let us continue. Seva Rupa Didi, seems, okay, you've come back to animation. Would you like to continue just now? We'll see whether your internet holds out.
yes, so that I think I was just ending by saying that just to know, it's so important to know what's your instruction from your Gurudev. So in that light, it would be nice to know, how can I serve you, Guru Maharaj?
Okay, follow the directives of Śrīla Prabhupada, Śrīla Gurudev and Śrīla Guru Maharaj. Chant Hare Krishna 25 hours a day and do everything for Krishna. This is what they are asking us to do.
Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai.
Hare Krishna. All right, time to go. Jai Guru Maharaj, Jai Gurudev, Jai Śrīla Prabhupada. To you all, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvya Evacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. My Dandavat, and good having each of you with us. Udaram Prabhu, and many thanks to all who spoke and listened. Nitai Gora, Nitai Gora.